In 1948, I married a very beautiful woman who had many suitors. I felt extremely lucky to have won her heart. But 7 months into our marriage, I discovered that she was cheating on me with another man. All my hopes were shattered. Under immense emotional pressure, I turned to alcohol, and over time I became an alcoholic. I lost my faith and enthusiasm for life. I felt weak, scared, and miserable. Eventually, I reached a point where I no longer believed in God or prayed. After a few years, one night when everyone was asleep, I prepared everything to end my life. 2 bottles of sleeping pills, another bottle of some medication, and 3 bottles of alcohol. I went to the kitchen, and a few minutes after consuming everything, I felt a clot forming in my toes. Gradually, I became dizzy and lightheaded. A few moments later, I saw a dark cloud forming and moving toward me. This cloud entered through the kitchen ceiling and completely surrounded me. Then I felt myself moving at an incredible speed through a tunnel. I had no idea where I was going, whether I was alive or dead. But I remember looking back and seeing my body lying on the kitchen floor. I thought to myself, is this what dying is like? Immediately, a voice answered, no. To my surprise, I saw a luminous, beautiful being standing before me, radiating immense love, kindness, and warmth. I wanted to speak, but I hesitated because I realized that this being could see all my thoughts. The being repeated, no, this is not death. Come, I will show you what death really is. Then it took me to a land that was dark and depressing, devoid of any beauty, warmth, or life. The people there wandered aimlessly, their heads down and shoulders slumped, moving in a state of deep despair, hopelessness, and defeat. They only looked at the ground ahead of them, never paying attention to one another or their surroundings. Sometimes 2 of them would accidentally bump into each other, but without acknowledging it, they would continue their aimless wandering. The thought of belonging to these lost and forgotten souls terrified me. Sensing my fear, the being immediately said, this hell is of your own making. In the end, you will return to earth and must live your life from beginning to end, facing all the struggles you had before. But until then, you will remain among these lost souls. Suicide is not an escape. Then I was shown my life. The last 5 years of my depression and alcoholism were the most painful part. The most unbearable thing was seeing how my alcoholism had affected my children's lives and how it would continue to impact them in the future. I saw how my death and the collapse of our family would leave them depressed. I saw that my wife would not be a good mother to them and that they would end up in an orphanage. I saw that if I continued my life as before, I would eventually reach a point where I could no longer escape my depression, weakness, and addiction. I was shown that if I continued drinking, my children would also turn to alcohol to escape their problems, becoming alcoholics like me. My eldest son would become addicted to drugs, get involved in crime to support his habit, and end up in prison. My daughter would marry an alcoholic man who would abuse her, and they would have 4 daughters who would also live difficult lives. These visions were unbearable. But then I was also shown what would happen if I survived and changed my behavior. If I became a responsible and healthy father, despite facing challenges, all 3 of my children would grow up relatively well and live happier, more stable lives. I even saw my eldest son becoming a successful and important man. The luminous being, sensing my regret and newfound love for my family, spoke firmly, like a father advising his child. You cannot play with your life however you wish. Did you create yourself? Did you give yourself life? No. Then you have no right to take your own life either. I stood in silence, overwhelmed and crying. Then with a softer tone, the being said, your work is not finished. Go back and do what you must. At that moment, I opened my eyes and saw my daughter, Nancy. She had woken up in the middle of the night, found me collapsed on the kitchen floor, and was desperately trying to talk to me. Dear followers, today we shared an amazing near-death experience that has surely been interesting and insightful for many. If you found this story enjoyable and helpful, please support our channel and share this post with your friends so everyone can benefit from this unique experience. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on other incredible experiences from different people. Thank you.